Men divorce women for different reasons from why women divorce men. Well, the most common reason of divorce among poor people is physical abuse. Things are different when it comes to the rich. So here's the brutal reality, okay? It's harder to go through a divorce than it is to become a millionaire, because the pain of losing is bigger than the satisfaction of gaining. So you gotta think twice before you go there. And with that in mind, here are 15 reasons why rich people get divorced, plus a bonus move that saves them 8-figure tax bills. Welcome to Alux, the place where future marrying for money and checking out billionaires come to get inspired. Number 1. Marrying for money and checking out. Gold digger marriages. They've got a half-life, okay? The moment the lifestyle bonus stops compounding, the poorer spouse hits the eject button and moves on. In this case, marriage comes with financial expectations. 20% of ultra-rich divorces list financial expectation mismatch in court filings. So, if you marry to acquire financial security for yourself, and maybe your extended family once that milestone is achieved, you realize you still have the rest of your life to spend with someone you might not necessarily like. So, you start weighing the options. It's the same with marrying for a visa. 1 in 4 marriages split within 15 years, 19% inside the first 2. But surprisingly, at least that gives you a reason to stay together for a while. Love marriages surprisingly have the highest rate of divorce at 40 to 50%, because love fades away or one of the people falls in love with somebody else. Actually, the best performing ones in terms of divorce rates are arranged marriages, and this is just the demanding work schedules time apart beginning. Number 2. Demanding work schedules and time apart. Wealth comes with responsibilities. The highs are high, the lows are low, and every day something else is set on fire. You travel, you negotiate deals, you stress the hell out, and involuntarily everything bleeds into your marriage. It doesn't come as a surprise that in the US, couples logging 200+ travel days a year divorce 30% faster. You don't see each other. You're not building memories or even living together at that point. Even basic commutes have a massive impact. A Swedish megastudy revealed one partner commuting for more than 45 minutes translates to a 40% higher likelihood to file for divorce. Everyone wants a highly partner until you realize just how much effort goes into emotional disconnect maintaining that. Number 3, emotional disconnect. If you're in your bed and each one of you is on a smartphone, well, it ain't looking good. Luxury buys privacy, sometimes too much. High net worth therapists report 56% of affluent couples list feeling invisible as their core complaint. At one point, conversations simply boil down to just logistics, and the spontaneous laughter goes away. You're just roommates. No more holding each other, sleeping in separate bedrooms, individual friend groups, and interests. You go from being in sync to just doing stuff at the expense of who you both used to be and who you want to be. You justify it as a phase, but it isn't a phase. You talk about counseling, but even that sounds like just another chore to add to your financial disagreements, financial abuse, or failures ever-growing to-do list. Number 4, financial disagreements, financial abuse, or worse, financial failures. Guess what? Okay. Rich people fight about money just as much, if not more, than regular people. Money starts as a tool, then mutates into a scoreboard, then gets weaponized into blame and a control mechanism. We're going to let you in on a little secret, okay? To get rich, you need to be obsessed with building wealth. This means for extended periods of your life, you put all your time, energy, and effort into building something. And here's the dark part. Involuntarily, your identity becomes tied to the performance of your business. You start to believe you're only as good as you can perform. Once the economy shakes and the business starts going, your identity cracks. In the 2008 crash, divorces in America's richest zip codes jumped 33%. Sudden losses trigger identity panic. The empire builder feels like a fraud. The partner feels misled. A January 2025 wealth law memo notes that billionaire founders routinely defer contracts and bonuses to depress valuations before trial. So basically, billionaires want to show that they're poorer before a judge splits the assets and calculates alimony. It's easy to get along when the money is rolling in, but every relationship will get financially stress-tested at some point. Some are able to pull through, some others part ways. Not investing in the relationship post-marriage. Number 5, not investing in the relationship post-marriage. You deploy all this effort and money into the dating phase. You get in shape. You dress nice. You go to fancy restaurants and put each other on a pedestal. You're in love. You travel the world. You make plans on how to keep that spark alive, only for 5 years, to go by and only see a shadow of your former selves. You let yourself go. You let each other down. Now that you've conquered and don't see getting your partner as a challenge anymore because you've already got them, you're no longer doing the things that made you attracted to each other in the first place. This goes from personal hygiene and putting on a few pounds to simply not listening or caring about what the other person is saying. Research shows couples scheduling fewer than 12 just-us dates per year double their divorce odds. As the money grows, you get good at outsourcing stuff. Chef, nanny, drivers, trainers. What do you think happens to your spark and the emotional stuff? Yeah, it gets outsourced to these people as well. You forgot what the point was of all of this outsourcing in the first place. To buy time to live a cool life together, not separately. If you're rich, think about these little investments in your relationship as divorce insurance. Turns out, if you do cool things together, you fall back in love, and that love grows. Life stagnates before it goes downhill. Every time you feel stuck, know that the answer lies in investing in yourself. Learn how to be better, a better partner, a better business owner, a better you. This is why we find the smartest people in the world on topics like this one, put them into a studio, and have them teach us what they've spent their entire lives learning. And you have access to everything by going to alayx.com/app right now. The app is free to download. If you're stuck, get it right now and sign up for the 7-day free trial. Just look around and see it for yourself. The app isn't cheap because it's a tool CEOs and entrepreneurs use to grow their business. It's also a tax deductible that basically pays for itself in the first month. If this is the first time you've downloaded the app, you're literally coming in at the best time, okay? Because we are running a pretty epic Black Friday sale. After you download the app, scan this QR code and you'll get 50% off your annual membership. 50%, 50. It is our biggest deal ever. And it's kind of outrageous when you consider the value you get. Are we out of our minds? I don't know. Maybe, but only because we want as many people as possible to be able to access the incredible resources on the inside. Alux is evolving fast into the private platform for CEOs, founders, and investors. And this may be your final early access window. So you know what to do. Okay. All right. With the app on your phone and the discount locked in, infidelity on speed dial, let's talk about cheating. Number 6, infidelity on speed dial. Now, this might come as a shock to you, but it's easier to cheat when you have a lot of money. Okay, putting the sarcasm aside, you simply have more options, and they're more available to you than others. The circumstances simply facilitate it. Anonymity, an inflated entitlement, dinners, alcohol, assistance, limelight, fame, business trips, VIP rooms, a buffet of sexual options available with a tap of a button. There's an entire industry catering to provide entertainment and cater to the needs of the rich. Cheating appears in 60% of U.S. divorce pleadings across all income levels. It moderately goes up from poor into the middle class, but massively starts jumping once you cross the millionaire mark. High net worth individuals and billionaires are 2 to 3 times more likely to cheat on their partners. Temptation only really snowballs when money turns from tool to toy. Now, before we jump into the next one, here's something interesting we found while digging into this. Men who rely entirely on their wives' income stray 3 times more than equal-earning men. The lowest infidelity rates occur when men and women are equal earners. Also, according to a Kiplinger 2025 poll of U.S. couples, nearly half of couples earning under $100K per year hide money from their partner. That number drops to a third when the income goes, having kids too early or too late, over 100,000. Number 7. Having kids too early or too late. Look, having kids is stressful, okay? That stress will be put on the relationship because it locks everyone in for a chapter where most of your identity shifts. Timing is destiny dressed in diapers. Data shows parents under the age of 25 divorce 50% more. First-time parents over 45, it's about 28%. Early parents sacrifice personal growth. The reality is you've got to take care of them at the expense of taking care of yourself. You're tired because you're sleep-deprived. Their bodies are changing. Your body is changing. You dramatically cut down on the fun stuff you used to do. Meanwhile, everyone on Instagram is living their best lives. And you lust for that. You get on each other's nerves more often. At the same time, you go from a dink situation that's dual income, no kids, to one of you staying home and the other one picking up the financial burden to show stability. Kids are expensive. The average household will spend around between $15,000 and $25,000 per kid per year, slightly more if you're in a more potent geography. It actually tracks with your expendable income. Any travel costs too. 2 times more than it did before, and you enjoy it about half as much as you used to. The benefits of having kids comes directly from the children in the form of happiness and enjoyment, and less from your partner. So many wealthy couples decouple, pun intended, but they decouple their happiness from their spouse. Parenting stress magnifies pre-existing cracks. The relationship is stress-tested even more if the kids have special needs. For example, parenting an autistic child pushes divorce rates to 24 to 36%, nearly double the average. All that stress, high emotions, different expectations, and isolation not having sex lead us to the next thing. Number 8, not having sex. Turns out, the more money you have, the less active you are in the bedroom. Sex is important to keeping a healthy relationship. Sexless marriages, defined as having sex less than 10 times a year, exist across all wealth brackets, but prevalence increases among millionaires and the ultra-rich. Between 15 to 20% of American marriages were sexless last year. If sex falls below 10 times per year, divorce rates skyrocket, and rich people are 3 times more likely to initiate divorce if the marriage is sexless. Separate bedrooms is like the gateway to a sexless marriage. A lack of sex is closely tied to both infidelity and emotional disconnect, which are the 2 most popular reasons for divorce. That's when one of the partners decides to do something about it. Which brings us to the midlife model upgrade, number 9. The midlife model upgrade. There's even a name for this. Okay? They're called gray divorces, meaning divorcing after the age of 50. So, gray divorces have doubled in the last 35 years. And as our generation matures, that number is likely to triple when we hit 50. But here's the shocker. 36% of those end up remarrying a much younger partner, about 10 years younger on average. So, among the rich, upgrading your partner seems like an obvious thing to do if the partner isn't providing the same kind of stimulation they did before. Now, here's why this usually happens. To build wealth, you need to sacrifice your early decades. You lock yourself in a room and build. 20 to 30 years go by, and you've achieved what many consider financial success. You got it, though, at the expense of your youth. So what rich people do is try to buy it back. Your partner is now oldish. Your kids are old enough, and you want to feel young. Jeff Bezos paid Mackenzie Bezos almost $40 billion just to go their separate ways. He bought a $500 million yacht, and as you're watching this, he's marrying Lauren Sanchez. After the divorce, both parties usually go through a health kick, trying to get in shape and get ready for their second wind. The more you think about it, the more it kind of makes sense. Most of the rich people like to invest in things where the value keeps going up. But if early on you got married based on looks and looks alone, well, looks are a deflationary asset. So, let's expand on treating marriage like an underperforming asset. Number 10, treating marriage like an underperforming asset. Wall Street minds track ROI on everything, including love. Harvard surveyed Fortune 500 executives, and 1 in 4 would exit a marriage if net life return dipped negative. They also found that high net worth individuals are twice as likely to view marriage as an investment compared to middle income earners. It all starts with keeping score. Okay, love audited becomes love amputated. If you try to measure the ROI of a marriage, you're doing it wrong. Here are divorce rates based on what you do for a living. Okay, trust, communication, and shared experiences are cornerstone elements of a happy life, and these are intangible and hard to quantify, while in other professions, they simply don't get to spend time together. CEOs and financial experts try to use the same logic when it comes to marriages. And this is why most high net worth individuals end up lonely, despite not being alone in a big mansion. Think of marriage not just as a balance sheet, but as a long-term soul's dividend. Intellectually, it might make sense. But then your ego pops up. Number Narcissism Ego Wars 11. Narcissism and Ego Wars. So 5 separate studies link higher social class to inflated entitlement and narcissistic traits. Research indicates that marriages involving narcissistic individuals are twice as likely to end in divorce compared to marriages without narcissistic traits. 2 narcissists under one roof? Well, that is a hostile takeover waiting to happen. Rich people get used to special treatment, others telling them what they want to hear, and almost always being right. Those rules don't translate well into a household. These individuals are driven by ambition and the need for recognition. So it hurts to take a step back or to give away control at the expense of what made you successful in the first place. The need for validation overrides the emotional needs of their partner. There's a massive negative impact on children, too. They witness power struggles and emotional manipulation, leading to lasting effects on their own relationships and their self-esteem. Criminal cases, public image damage control, number 12. Criminal cases and public image damage control. Now, for public figures, allegations alone can tank stock prices, scuttle endorsement deals, or trigger broad coups. A study by the Journal of Family Psychology found that every year behind bars increases the likelihood of divorce by 32%, while long sentences exceeding 5 years lead to divorce rates as high as 80 to 100%. At its core, it's all about reputation. Okay, most people want to protect the bag and their ability to get the bag in the future. Crisis PR strategists call it reputation amputation. And since high-profile scandals and legal battles can significantly damage a couple's public image, you quickly cut ties and distance yourself by trying to save what you can. Having your partner in deep waters will also strain the family's finances, since lawyers are not always cheap. While spouses may choose legal separation as a preemptive PR strategy, shielding themselves from media scrutiny, they might also use this as an incredible exit leverage point to secure better terms in the divorce, usually child custody and preferential payouts. Legal battles test the mental fortitude of the family. Everyone says they're your ride or die until the lawyers show gambling addictions up. And speaking of number 13, gambling and addictions. You know, they say the house always wins, but it's not your house, it's theirs. UK data shows 65% of marriages with a compulsive gambler implode. And this is across large segments of the population who are on average 2 to 3 big losses away from losing everything. When it comes to the wealthy, you've got more chips to put on the table. But the addiction is similar. Okay, you start chasing the highs of winning, even if it comes at the expense of everything else. Substance abuse puts significant strain on any kind of relationship. Lack of trust, poor communication, having to take care of somebody else, and even being scared for your safety. All build up toward the decision to separate. What addiction does is simply put gasoline on all the fires that we've discussed so far. And domestic abuse, speaking of abuse, number 14, domestic abuse. Now, domestic abuse is usually framed as a problem of poverty. And yes, public data shows that domestic violence is 4 times more prevalent in poor communities than among the super rich. But the super rich have NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. They've got lawyers, PR teams, and infrastructure to keep it out of the public eye. You don't call the police, you call your lawyer. Even if it does make it to court, it does not show up as violence, but as unreasonable behavior, which could mean anything. 45% of divorces in the UK last year cited this ever-encompassing term, unreasonable behavior, as the primary reason of divorce. Violence has such a cultural impact that's being weaponized for financial and reputation gains. The most famous recent case was Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, where because of the abuse allegations, Depp lost an approximate $22 million, $5 million deal for Pirates of the Caribbean 6, and was shunned out of Hollywood before winning in court. Associated financial loss with the entire divorce was around $40 million. A few years back, we did a video on his outrageous spending habits, if you want to check that out. All right, now let's wrap all this up. Okay, hit the like button if you made it this far. Are you religious realignment ready for the last one? Number 15, religious realignment. I kid you not. Okay, this is actually one of the common reasons why rich people divorce. One of them finds God, and the other one taps out. Shared meaning is the compass. Lose it and you sail apart. So let's look at the data. Pew Research finds switching or ditching religion after I do triples divorce odds. In marriages where religion was part of the original bond, shifting beliefs are not just a personal journey. It's a complete reshuffle of the shared values and life narratives that held the relationship together. People evolve, right? At 45, you're no longer the same person you were at 25. Exposure to new worldviews, crisis of meaning, and personal awakenings can fracture spiritual alignment between spouses. And in high-net-worth circles, where philanthropy, public image, and family traditions often tie directly to religious affiliations, one partner opting out isn't a private decision. It's a headline. The rituals that kept you together now get crushed. The extended family now takes sides, and children don't actually know what's happening. Once your worldview changes, even the smallest disagreements can turn existential, and it all crumbles from there. Who would have thought that in high society, changing gods could cost you millions? Now, we've got a large enough audience here to have at least a couple of people who either are divorced or whose parents have divorced. So, what do you think is the primary reason that people divorce these days? Is it a change of values? Is it the internet? Is it culture? Let us know in the comments. And since you've been with us this long, bonus, strategic tax divorce. You've earned yourself a bonus. And that bonus is strategic tax divorce. Now, Strategically divorcing before a liquidity event can save 7 to 8-figure sums. One of wealth's dirtiest little open secrets is the strategic divorce. So, in ultra-high net worth circles, marriage isn't just a romantic union. Now, it's a financial instrument, and sometimes breaking that instrument is the smartest move on the table. It's estimated that 1 in 20 divorces among the ultra-rich aren't about irreconcilable differences or anything like that. Strategic divorce before liquidity events, IPOs, or major capital gains can save couples 7 to 8-figure sums in taxes. When you're married, you're taxed on combined assets and gains, but split those assets legally before a taxable event, and both parties can claim lower individual rates. Rich couples have clauses for this baked into their prenup agreements. They're usually kept under wraps, away from the public eye, with couples getting remarried again after the event completes. Strategic divorces can also shield assets from creditors, lawsuits, or market crashes. By legally separating, one partner can protect a portion of the family fortune in the event of a financial disaster. In hedge fund and tech circles, this tactic is sometimes used when a founder's startup is about to go public with risky valuations. Who knew, if you do it right, divorce is just another form of portfolio optimization.